Welcome to the Podium Proof F1 podcast. I'm Frank Alessi.
I'm David Alessi.
All right. Welcome to the 2022 Best of show on here on the Podium Proof podcast.
Welcome.
We got a little
Welcome.
list of things here that we picked either our favorite moments or best of moments in our opinion that we're gonna run through tonight and just kind of reminisce on the season, man.
Yeah, we got a whole list of stuff to go through, and a couple things on just like some recent news that we'll touch on that's transpired between the last episode and currently.
And general housekeeping.
Yeah. So happy New Year to everybody. Haven't seen y'all yet this year. So
New Year.
New year, new season is quickly coming. As you can see down below, we got the countdown there till Bahrain GP. 54 days. Feels like an eternity. Feels like it's been an eternity since the last race. So as usual, if you're catching this on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe. There is a QR code on the bottom of the screen there. That'll take you to our link tree, which will get you to all our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. If you're just listening in for the podcast by itself, there'll be a link tree link in the description as well as the YouTube link. So feel free to check all that out. Hit us up on social media, and hey man, let's get this thing rolling.
Man, also one more thing. If you're enjoying it, man, give us a shout out in some of these Facebook groups, some of these F1 Facebook groups. That would go a long way to help us out.
Yeah. We're always looking to find some new friends, man. New groups, new people.
All right, I'm gonna jump in here real quick.
Well, hang on, before you do that, just like to note, I hope it looks like you're drinking out of it. We will both be drinking out, not that it can be seen real well on the camera, but we are both rocking some podium proof Glencairn glasses that my wife has graciously made us.
Awesome.
Hopefully,
thank her very much.
Hopefully, in the future, we can maybe have some of these things for sale
or giveaways of some sort.
Giveaways.
So why don't you go ahead?
Okay. I will be sipping on a very, very special bottle. This will be the Bardstown Discovery. This is Discovery number 8. Yep. Which, if you so care to know, the blend on it is 66% Kentucky, 17% Indiana, which would be MGP, 11% Ontario, and 6% Indiana 6-year. I'm sorry, that was 12, 7, 12, and 6-year blends. So I don't know. We're probably averaging somewhere around a 9-year if I had to take a stab at it with the percentages and the ages. But this bottle is fantastic. It's 114.1 proof. And I'll tell you, I've had the Bardstown Fusion before, and honestly, I was not really all that impressed. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad by any means, but I wasn't super impressed with it. Now, I've heard a ton of people have all said, they've all kind of echoed the same thing, that the Fusion holds no candle to the Discovery, and they were right. Because this Discovery is legit.
That was one of those bottles that, you hear all this hype around it, and it lived up to the hype.
It did. 100%.
It blew my mind, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we cracked that bottle when I was down there with Frank for New Year's, and we both got to enjoy some of it together there.
Came from our trusty Hocus Pocus,
Always coming through for us.
as did what I'm sipping on tonight, which is an Eagle Rare store pick from Hocus Pocus, which I have not had yet. I just cracked it open here. And I don't think there's any specific info on this one,
Nah, there's usually not on those.
but be interesting. I love Eagle Rare. I think it's a great bourbon,
Man,
especially for the price.
a $32 10-year, it's incredible.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can find it for MSRP, it's out of
Yeah.
this world.
I mean, MSRP, it punches above its weight.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is only a 90 proofer, but
Mhm.
I think the profile is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll let this open up a little bit. If y'all happen to hear any background noise, that's my little boy watching the national championship game. Georgia putting a freaking beat down on TCU right now. What's the score? Score. It's not pretty if you're a TCU fan. If you're a Georgia fan, all your walk-ons are about to play.
Damn, it's that bad?
Huh? 44-7 in the third quarter, and it just started.
Whew. Whew.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, let them walk-ons get some national championship experience.
Mm-hmm. So,
You know
Right.
they didn't come to that game expecting to get on the field,
I think they did.
did they?
I think they knew what was going to happen.
I don't follow it enough to know. I knew who
I had
was playing, but
I
that
had a
was about
feeling it
it.
was going to happen. But, all right. Shifting gears back to the sport we're here to discuss. Why don't we jump in to just a couple of the big topics going on right now.
Yeah.
The one thing, today is Monday, January 9th when we're recording. So Fred Vasseur is officially now at the helm of Ferrari. And what's your initial thoughts, man? You know,
I think it's great.
Mattia, quote unquote, stepped down.
Yeah.
I think we all know what that is.
Yeah, we can all put that one together. Man, I think it's great. I think he's proven that he's capable, he's competent. But the bigger thing that I think is more important is that he was not an in-house promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And look, typically I'm all for the whole promote from within. However, given the current status of Ferrari and some of the issues that we've discussed on here, i.e., the whole mentality of how it used to be, that toxic environment, how Mattia was he was the leader of this change in mentality within the team, right? And he did great with that, but it could be said that maybe it went a little too far with the no blame thing, and and again, this is all outside looking in. Who knows what's happening behind closed doors? But again, we're going to call it how we see it from our point of view. But it could be said that it's maybe gone a little too far. And you take somebody from within that is within that environment and that mentality now, and you're likely to end up with the same problems.
if not an overcorrection.
Right. So I think Fred Vasseur coming on is going to be awesome for them. I really do.
I agree. I think it's the right move. I think it's a great hire. You know, I hate it for Mattia because I loved what he did, and I think he had them in the right direction. I think, it was just one of those things where I think it was apparent that he was not the guy that was going to take them that last step.
Yeah.
100%. And, I mean, why suffer if you're Ferrari? Why suffer through a whole nother season before you make that change if you already know the outcome and the answer?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that Fred will do a great job. He's, like you said, I mean, he knows how to run a race team, and now I think it makes it easier for him to come in and, with that outside perspective of what we were all seeing going wrong in Ferrari throughout the year, where, he's having the same view as us, essentially.
Yep.
And granted, with, maybe a little closer eyes on it, but still, nonetheless, I'm sure he kind of already had like this little laundry list of things that are just immediately going to make them significantly better in 23 if you clean them up.
Absolutely.
And it's simple fixes.
Mm-hmm.
Strategy calls are not hard to have somebody on top of. There was so many times last year where if you essentially your indecision and indecisiveness is the worst possible decision.
Yep.
You just need somebody to go in there and make a decision in real time, on the fly, quickly.
Yep.
And even if it maybe isn't the wrong one, maybe that doesn't even hurt you as much as just sitting there leaving your driver in no man's land for 10 laps.
Yeah, I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, a decision in the moment is going to be better than, like you said, leaving them just kind of hanging out to dry.
Right.
Absolutely. So, and with Vasseur stepping away from Alfa Romeo, Andreas Seidel has stepped away from McLaren, and I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work, because it's what I've seen is that he has stepped into Alfa Romeo taking Fred Vasseur's spot.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also seen it being stated that he is taking the role of CEO. So which one is it? Is he going to be CEO and team principal? Or, I'm not sure how that is really playing out. But
yeah, I'm not 100% sure
I've
on
seen
that
it.
yet.
I've seen it stated as he's taking Fred's spot and is the CEO, like all in the same sentence. So maybe he's going to be both. I'm not really sure, but nonetheless, Andreas Seidel will be with Alfa Romeo, and who is it? Andreas or Andrea Stella, I think it was Stella, is stepping up into team principal role at McLaren.
So supposedly this was already kind of in the works, but for a few years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the chips fell with Ferrari, it was just expedited.
Yep.
So kind of strange, but nonetheless, here we are. That was kind of shocking to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to see that one fall, that chip fall that quickly.
Because we we hadn't really talked about it before. So, and what is meant by that was already in the cards was Andreas Seidel being the lead, stepping in with Audi, partnering with Sauber in 26. So it is official. Audi will be partnering as the engine supplier for Sauber come 26. And I was doing a little bit of reading on that earlier. It is a partnership. They are not buying them. They are not becoming a factory team, quote unquote. Sauber will still retain the chassis development and all of that side of things, and Audi will be the engine supplier. They will be responsible for the powertrain side of it, chassis, on track, trackside. All of that operation will still be Sauber, and I believe it is going to go back to running under the Sauber name. The team is.
So it'll be Saudi. It'll be, that would be good.
Sauber Audi.
Sauber Audi.
Yep.
Man, this is going to be a rough night. I've only had a sip so far, and I'm already putting words together. That one was just right there, man.
Right. So that's the word moving forward there. So, do you have anything else to add to that whole shuffle?
Yeah, that's to be honest, that's a little disappointing. I would have liked to see Audi come in as a full works team. Given the amount of time that they have before they're entering, I think it's definitely doable. And I don't know. I don't see the same cachet as just becoming an engine supplier.
Yeah.
You're never going to be the main name of it.
Yeah.
You're always going to be second fiddle in the list. Your name's always going to go second.
Right. But I mean, maybe hell, they may not necessarily want that. They may, they may know their limitations and
maybe that's just the first step. I don't know.
Could be.
Maybe it is a longer term project, but I don't know. I was just kind of excited for another works team. Because I think that's what F1 wants. And I think that's what they need, to be honest. Which leads us into our next.
Yeah. Speaking of another works team and being what they want versus who is hoping to be the next team is Andretti Cadillac, making known their desires to be on the grid. First impressions of that?
I love it. I think it's awesome. I think Andretti has been, obviously there's been noise for a while of them trying to get into the sport. And man, I mean, from an American perspective, who else would you want to be involved in a true American team joining F1? Because as much as everybody loves to call Haas an American team, which they are, they're American owned, and they are, I guess you could say, based out of America, and America's their home race and all. They office in Maranello and as well as the UK. Or should I say the car is built in Maranello in the UK, and they office out of, the mail goes to Haas over here in America.
Yeah, the bean counters are here in the States.
Right. So Yeah, they're an American team, but they're not like fully. I
Right.
would love to see Andretti Cadillac become a full American team.
Yeah.
Built
And
here, design here, wind tunnel here,
yeah, and I mean the
and
the
let's see
word from
what's up.
Andretti, yeah.
If they're shit, they're shit. It is what it is. But I would love to see the Andretti name, honestly, more so than any American manufacturer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, Andretti has F1 history, you know.
They just have racing history, period,
Well,
man. Like
yeah,
it almost doesn't even matter
yeah, right.
like what you're doing. Like the Andretti name is just known.
Mhm.
Like you
Yep.
could go roll up to somebody who does motocross and they're gonna know the Andretti name.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hell. I mean, Mario is a F1 world champion,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, to say the name has history is almost an understatement. I mean, more than history, he was a world champion.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, so their claim is that they want to enter as an American based team with at least one American driver, which I think we all know who that would be, Mr. Colton Herta,
Well,
which I would love to see.
I like the sentiment. I hate the fact of going into you're not even in F1 yet, and you're already saying that you want to put an American driver in there. I think that's stupid. Same as when Audi takes over, they want to have German drivers. I think that's stupid.
Mhm.
You want to have the best two drivers available, no
Yeah.
matter what their nationality is. I think going
Oh, without
into
a
it with any
doubt.
preconceived notions about it is stupid. And why would you limit yourself to that?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't disagree with you. Um, I think there's been a lot of talks about Colton Herta and the possibility of an F1 seat. Um, what I've seen of him previously, I think I'm not going to say, yeah, he absolutely deserves a seat, but I think he deserves a look. I think he deserves a chance to prove himself, whether it be in, some testing or something like that. I think he deserves that chance at least. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so yeah, I mean, but Andretti has said, they would be based out of the States. They would have a satellite location in the UK, in England, or somewhere over there. I don't remember if it said specifically where or not, but you know, somewhere across the pond, they would have a satellite location. Um, but man, I mean, look, it makes sense, right? There's there's been a huge, huge rise in F1 in the States. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hell, we now have more Grand Prix than anywhere else. You
Yeah, don't
know,
say that too loud.
I mean, I'm just saying. Look, and I say that having talked all kind of shit about the Vegas Grand Prix, and I will continue to. I think it's a shit layout
I
that's
know.
not going to stop. I will still talk shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Nonetheless, though, it is a Grand Prix on the calendar. So I mean, and I'm just saying all that in noting the fact that it has grown exponentially here in the States. And I'm not saying that
Thank you,
means
Netflix.
that it's needs to be given or that it's required. Oh, because it's grown, there needs to be an F1 team out of the States. But
I mean, it's
I'm
definitely
certainly not opposed to it. And I'm certainly a fan of it for obvious reasons.
I mean, it's
Um,
definitely a huge benefit
yeah,
for
absolutely.
F1. And that's something else that we can tie in here is, you know, Gunther was um very candid as always about when he was asked, and this was quite a while ago. This wasn't exactly in reference to this specific news, I don't believe. I
No,
think it
this
was just kind of surrounding, just kind of circling rumors towards the end of the season last year.
and I think it was kind of amidst like Andretti's name being kind of
They've
in the
all, yeah.
mix.
Um, he said he's not opposed to a new team coming in F1, provided they bring value. Now, that I feel like is where it needs to be. There is no point in adding an 11th team into the same pot and then just diluting everybody's payout at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to be on board for that. And I don't see the need. I don't see the reason why you would do it. The only reason that you add another team is to add more revenue.
Yep.
Now, Andretti instantly does that
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. For one, you have a full-fledged American team that you will gain instant support for because of the fact that it is the first real American team that people can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have, it's not a sister Ferrari. It's not, it doesn't have all these other ties. It is a pure American team. So that will give it instant support. Not to mention the fact that the Andrettis are the most famous American racing name that there is.
Yeah.
So you have a ton of fans across the rest of American motor racing that they're involved in that, I'm not saying all of them will jump over, but a lot will follow suit that maybe you don't even have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that, not to mention Cadillac, you can speak more to this than me, but Cadillac has been in recent years doing phenomenal things with their racing programs.
Yeah. I mean,
So
Cadillac has been putting a
hold
lot
on
of.
before you jump onto that.
Yeah.
That in and of itself, right there, those two names married together and joining together brings instant financial value in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
In a big way. And I think it would be very childish for people to sabotage this partnership and this entry just because they don't want another kid at the table.
Yeah. Well, and so look, that's a big part of it, right? They don't want to dilute the pot. They don't want to dilute the end of year earnings or disbursements.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, and so well, let me back up a second. So I believe part of it is that, right? They don't want to cut their disbursements, their winnings, how much they possibly get for each position. They don't want to dilute that down. The other part of it is, let's be very honest about this, and we can use a Gunther term here. The rest of the paddock, or I shouldn't say that because we don't really know, because nobody in the paddock is actually speaking about this or saying this, but the general consensus from the rest of the world towards Americans and F1 is that they don't belong. And to quote Gunther, I'm going to use, they're a bunch of wankers. right? And it's a lot of people are so pissed off that the states have 3 Grand Prix. And I think a lot of people look at an American F1 team as a bunch of, NASCAR circle driving, you know, whatever, tailgating and NASCAR events and whatever your image of NASCAR is, whether it's the tailgating and the partying or the cars doing 200 laps in a circle or whatever, right? Like NASCAR gets this image of a whole bunch of stuff from the rest of the world, and that's how a lot of people view an American entry, right? And I think that instantly is drawing negative impacts. Now, does anybody actually in the paddock that actually means anything and carries any weight? Do they actually think that? No telling. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
I don't think.
I would think not. I would think most all of them are smart enough to realize that's not the case. And I would think most of them are smart enough to look at the financial benefits that could come with this. Which, speaking of the financial benefits, if I remember right, I read something where a new team, their first, for them to enter, they instantly have to put in like a $200 million amount into that pot because of dilution.
Mm-hmm.
It was something along those lines. I want to say it was 200 million, and I'm pretty certain it was to go towards that, constructors standings disbursement to come into the year.
Interesting.
So all the talk of is it really diluting all of that? If that's the case, and then you add in the financial benefits that would come with Andretti and Cadillac, I really don't see the downside.
I think it would be great, man. I think
Yeah.
it would be, for a number of reasons, but I think that they would be in it to be a big player,
Mm-hmm.
which I think we need more of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, Cadillac's been doing great things in motorsports, and just looking at IMSA with their DPI program, and now that DPI has gone away and it's gone to the GTP hybrid cars, the hybrid prototypes. Cadillac is a manufacturer in that now as well. I mean, to be honest, dude, the DPI and GTP cars, the DPIs are pretty equivalent to an LMP1. They're I would say they're like a half a peg under like an LMP1. The GTP cars, I believe, are right there on par with an LMP1. But I mean, you're talking very, very advanced electronics. These motors are now in the GTP cars. They're hybrid motors, so a lot of this is all sounding very familiar to what is happening in an F1 car, to which Cadillac has already been doing this. So I don't think it would be any kind of huge transition for them either. I mean, I think with the money that Cadillac has put towards their motorsports program, I think they could be a big contender.
Bro, and let's keep it real. Cadillac probably sells more cars, with the exception of Mercedes, than just about anybody on the grid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess, I mean, just spitballing it.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely selling selling more than Ferrari. They're definitely selling more than Aston Martin. They're
Mhm.
selling more than
McLaren.
I don't know how many. Yeah, McLaren. I don't know how many Alphas really get sold. I would think a lot in Europe, but maybe not. I'm not really sure how big they are. Um, I mean, yeah, dude, it's easily the second largest, or would be the second largest manufacturer by numbers on the
Yeah,
grid.
because Honda's out.
Right.
And then let's just loop them in with GM, which they are.
Yeah.
They're bigger than all of them probably combined.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and that's it as well, right? Like this isn't just Cadillac. It's
Right.
GM. But GM has decided that their motorsports program is going to be branded under the Cadillac
Right.
badge.
Brilliant. Why wouldn't it be?
Right. Right. Mm-hmm. So
now not only are you labeling your biggest luxury brand, you're intertwining performance with that luxury in the same way that Mercedes does and BMW does.
yeah. I mean, look, dude, I'm no wizard on all the Cadillac models and what's out there, but
I know some of those V series
yeah,
are,
dude, I was just saying, like, take like a CTSV, right? Those things are legit. And there's the guy that we brought Dad's car to get tuned a month or so ago, whenever that was.
mm-hmm.
His daily is I think it was a CTSV. And dude, let me tell you something. When he fired that thing up, it sounded mean.
They are
And
freaking
I mean,
nasty.
I've seen some of those cars run, man, and I know some guys build the hell out of them. So Cadillac is not just
Them things are
a luxury
nasty
car.
out the showroom, bro.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just a luxury car, not by any means. Like hell, the Blackwing is sick.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. Let's hope it happens. I think it would be good for some fresh blood to get in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look, honestly, I think this is way better than legacy teams just getting sold off to the highest bidder time and time again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
hell, how many teams, how many names did it go through before it became Aston Martin? Like
right? But
5.
like the same thing, man. Like Williams, they're owned by an investment company. Who wants that
Mm-hmm.
shit?
Yeah.
For real,
Mm-hmm.
like there's no, like we talked about with Dustin on the last one. There's no nostalgia left there at all.
Nope.
Like who out of every team, Williams is now owned by an investment company. Like there is absolutely no connection to anything automotive aside from this race team that they have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is, aside from the people that worked for Claire and Frank, you know, on the administrative side of it, dude, there is no nostalgia. There is no, you know, there's no history there with F1 or for the Williams name, Yeah, I think it's great. I sure hope that it gets approved. Um, there's apparently not been the greatest feedback from a lot of the teams. Um, I know previously, and again, I think this was before this most recent announcement of Andretti Cadillac, but just when there was, whispers and rumors of Andretti wanting to get into F1, McLaren and Alpine were the two supporters of it, at least the ones that had stated as such. As of recent, it looks like Alpine may be the only one currently in support of the Andretti Cadillac entry.
I think that'll change. I think that they'll fly Mario out to Maranello to do a little schmoozing, and they'll get Ferrari on board.
That'd be the smart play.
I think that you can send Michael out to McLaren and be like, hey, y'all gave me such a shit end of the stick when I was here that you owe me this one. Just give me your vote. You know, I'm not saying Michael was, you know, not at all to blame, but I think he was in between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had a situation where it was supposed to be him and Mika in the team, and then all of a sudden Senna doesn't leave, and it's you and Senna with Mika as the third driver, and Ron Dennis wants Mika, but you can't say no to Senna. But you already got this contract. It was just a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Like, it was a no-win situation for Michael. You know, so that's a conversation for another day. But nonetheless, I think obviously there's probably not many people left. But, you know, I think there's ends there that you can work your way around the paddock, and, you know, even with Haas, like, you know, potentially down the road, like, look, dude, we could bring you on and supply you with engines and, you know, really help you in the States.
Yeah.
You know, make you into another States run operation.
And man, I would think Haas would be the easiest one to win over. I mean, you know damn good and well Gene Haas and the whole Andretti family, you know, okay, maybe they're not buddy-buddy, but on a professional level,
they definitely bump elbows.
They're very good acquaintances.
Yeah.
You know, I think we can probably label it that way.
No doubt.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I mean the pushback that it's receiving now, I don't think that's gonna last. I agree with you. I think that's gonna change. You know, it's just dependent on how much it changes, and you know that's one of the things we were talking about that we just don't know. Like, how much does it have to change? Right? It's not strictly up to F1 or the FIA or the teams. It's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to what extent? You know, does it have to be majority of the teams? Does it have to be unanimous? You know, how is this whole vetting process really done? You know, and that's something that we don't know. So that could, depending on what that requirement is, could also change a lot. You know, does it only take one team on the grid not being okay with it, and then boom, you're done? Like, no chance.
I can't imagine.
I wouldn't imagine, but again, you know, I'm just saying, like, we don't know the ins and the outs of the whole process,
right?
But yeah, but dude, I tell you what, I was also wondering. I'm very curious to know. So let's say that tomorrow, Andretti Cadillac gets approval, right? And let's say they decide that they're gonna be on the starting grid for the 2026 season. Now, side note, they have their statement is, and this is not verbatim because I don't remember exactly how it was put, but they want to be on the grid as soon as is feasible, I think is
Mm.
roughly the way that they put it.
I love that.
There was not a date. It was just, as soon as it was feasible.
They want to do what Mercedes did when they entered,
Yeah.
which would absolutely be the thing to do.
Yeah. So let's just say they get an approval tomorrow. They get an okay green flag tomorrow. And let's say they want to go, 2026 season, they'll be on the grid. So that means they have now until 26 to develop the engine, the chassis, everything. How does that work? Are they now subject to the cost cap? But even if they are, that's still a bit unfair because all of that cost cap could be directed to development. They're not trying to work in races and wrecks and blown engines and whatnot. Like how does the spending, can they spend whatever the hell they want till they're officially on the grid and then the cost cap starts? Or is there
I'm
a
sure
limit?
you could, but at the same time, in thinking since we last spoke, the regulations for the engines are not released. So technically you really don't know what you'd be developing towards.
Right. Well, I mean, the best thing you
know
can
what
do
I mean?
now
So,
is develop under these regs and then and then adapt it once those.
But that's aerodynamic wise, that's fine. But engine wise, supposedly it's supposed to be a huge shakeup.
Right.
So, I mean, it's going to be some kind of hybrid system, but it's from what they're saying, there's going to be so much more power derived from the electric motor. Is it something that you can even develop when for the time being without actually knowing, and just you have to just rely on the fact that, hey, we already understand this technology because we do it on the IMSA side. So the second we get these rules, we're at the same playing field as the rest of the teams.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but even, okay, yeah, I mean the engines throws a little bit of a wrench into early development.
So that's why I think you get on the grid. If everything aligns, you get green light tomorrow. Yes, Andretti Cadillac is going to be an F1 team come 20. When you can be on the grid in 24. You absolutely do it, and you run your team in your car, and you dial in all the little stupid issues, and you don't even care what the car is doing. But you just sitting there collecting data, steadily improving, 24, 25. And then, the second those rules are released,
it's go time.
For 26, it's all of our development. Obviously, you can't it's not going to look like Mercedes did in 13 because there was no cost cap at that time. So you could still run your 13 program as well as, develop and put all this money towards the next regs. But, it is what it is. I mean, it essentially might even be like a Haas situation for that 25 year where it's like, okay, we developed for 24, and we're going to do whatever, like the minimalist for 25, and every dollar will go towards next year.
Yeah. But, and that would give you time, like you said, to figure out all the other stuff, right? Just
I feel like
the team and the operation side of things,
right?
And all of that. I mean, aside from,
but it's almost like you would have to have that
aerodynamically. You've still got a lot of stuff on the inside to iron out, right? So, I mean, I do agree. I think the soonest you can get on the grid, the better off it's going to be. come those new regs.
If you're going to be a works team, I feel like you have to have a year beforehand because the aerodynamic rules are going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there'll be changes,
Ish.
but I think it'll be. I don't think it's going to be a huge aerodynamic shakeup.
Yeah.
Like we just went through.
Right. Right.
I think it's going to be more geared towards the engine, and I think in an era of cost cap, I think that's the way it has to be. I think it would have to be a minimal aerodynamic change if you're doing a big engine change.
Yep.
Because there's just not the money.
Yeah.
To support both.
Yeah.
The R&D for both, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, all right.
Yep.
Well, that's all we know. And we could just go on and on and on about, you know, what ifs and this and that. So let's jump into what we're here for. And the best of 2022. And this is all up for debate, you know? This is just some stuff that we put together and we thought jumped out to us. And, you know, feel free to send us, you know, your opinions on each one of them. Or if you got one that you very much disagree with, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll talk about it. Because I'm sure we missed some shit.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So I'm going to get us started here.
Yep.
And we have the best overtake.
You want to run through the categories real quick that we're going to do, or you just want to hit those one at a time and keep keep what's next a surprise?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Run through them real quick.
Which, how many of them that we wrote down here you want to run through?
Just give all 10, and then I think we can get through them.
All right. So we've got best overtake, the best battle, best on-track battle, the best race.
Not from a driver's perspective.
Not from a
viewing
driver or a specific team's perspective. As a whole, best race. The most impressive drive from a driver, not as a whole team, just from a single driver. Best qualifying performance. The most spectacular crash. We've got the best comeback drive. The biggest surprise and disappointment. It's kind of a twofer there. The best strategy play by a team, or it could be specific to a driver, but the best strategy play. And then the best opening lap, and that as well being just the race as a whole, not a specific driver's best opening lap, which race held the best one. So, started off, best overtake. What you got?
So I have, for the best overtake, Charles Leclerc repassing Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone around the outside of Copse.
Absolutely fantastic.
In a scarily similar pass to what was attempted the previous year.
Yep. And
with a very different result. But
we probably all remember
smokes,
how that.
What a freaking, I mean, that whole battle was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole just ending of the race was phenomenal. But even the commentators, when they came out and like the cameras caught them back from head on, they were like, oh my God, Leclerc's still ahead. Leclerc's ahead.
Yeah. Yep. Well, even like coming into Copse, they were like, oh my God, he's going around the outside. He's staying around the outside going through Copse. Oh, we all remember how this happened last time.
Right.
Yeah, dude, that one was impressive. Absolutely.
I mean, it was just, And honestly, man, like the way Leclerc drove that whole battle on just shot tires compared to everybody else on fresh softs,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that he pulled that off on those tires, it's
Yep.
just phenomenal to me, man. It blew my mind.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was awesome to watch. So I've got and this could almost kind of go as a twofer, but specifically this instance was Ocon's pass at Spa, taking Vettel and Gasly on the Camel Straight, entering I forgot, I think that's Lacombs, or just before it, but getting the twofer done on them down the straight, reminiscent of a pass that we have talked much about at Spa. Looked very, very similar. And
It's not the same.
no, it was not the same, but like I said,
That was for the lead of a race, son.
bit reminiscent of it. But I'd also like to note that Ocon also, and I don't remember, it was Danny Rick and somebody else. He made another double pass going into down that back straight through. I can't remember what that turn is. It's a flat out turn. But like that area going into the chicane, he made another double pass on Danny Rick and somebody else. He had two good passes in that race. But yeah, I don't know, the going three wide and him getting by both of them on the Camel Straight, that takes mine.
I got you. Way to be impartial. I couldn't bring myself to write that down, but whatever.
I figured as much.
I try to be as unbiased as I can, but damn it, I can't. I couldn't do that.
All right.
All right. Well, let's move it into the next one.
Yep.
Our best battle of the year.
You know, this was a tough one.
It really is, because it's like, do you go, like you could almost kind of loop it into the best overtake. It's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But, is like somebody pinning somebody behind them for an entire race considered a battle? Can you call it that?
No, I mean, I would consider a battle where it's, it's not just two of them nose to tail for forever. It's some back and forth, and at least, passing attempts, whether the pass was completed or not.
Sure,
but something ongoing for at least, a corner and a straight, maybe a couple corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you go with for that one?
So I picked, I know what you picked. So I decided to go with one a little bit for nostalgia's sake, but I think it was pretty freaking awesome given the conditions in the race. Alonso versus Seb at Suzuka.
That was a good one.
And I mean, they literally finished the race. What? I mean, inches.
Mm-hmm.
They crossed the line inches apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Seb wound up sticking it out.
Yep.
That's one of those, another 10 feet, and Alonso probably gets him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
that Alpine gets to stretch his legs a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, that was freaking cool watching them two, just wheel to wheel in those conditions on that racetrack at that part of the track, the way and to finish the way they did, that was just freaking awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So, man, I've got and I honestly don't know. I couldn't decide between these two as to best. So I'm just going to list both of them. So you've got Leclerc and Verstappen in Bahrain. Back and forth, lap after lap. I think that one went on 3 laps.
Yeah.
Where Leclerc would dive. Verstappen would dive on the inside in turn 1. Leclerc would intentionally break a little earlier to make sure he got the good line, and he got DRS coming out of turn 2 or out of turn 3. That might be, and he'd pass him back going into 4, just back and forth for multiple laps. That was awesome to watch. But then there's the 5-way battle in Austria.
That was freaking cool, man.
With Alonso, Joe, Norris, Mick, and K-Mag. All of which swapped a position or 2 or 3 at some point within all that. Not a single bit of contact was made. And
Crofty had an incredible line for that. I know you have a problem. You don't like Crofty, but I think he does a great job. I think that's an insanely hard job.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I think he does a great job. But his line was so good in the moment. To become 5. And to become 5 as they're heading into like turn 4 in Austria.
Yep.
And I mean, it was just like, man, you don't see stuff like this in open wheel racing, man.
Nope. And man, that was exciting. That was awesome to watch.
That was
and
cool.
I mean, look, man, to kind of expand on that, it wasn't as large as immersive, as intense as that, but you had a bit of a 4-way battle going on in Silverstone with was it Checo, Leclerc, Hamilton, and then Alonso kind of caught up while they were mixing it up and threw himself into the mix. So yeah, I mean, dude, there's so many of them from throughout the year. I mean, you look at Charles and Max in Saudi, battling back and forth lap after lap for that DRS line. I know
that was so good.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we could really go on and on and on about all the
That's
different
what I mean.
ones.
And that's why, like if you're listening to this, man, let us know what y'all think. Let us know y'all's favorites, because honestly, like at the end of the day, we just had to pick something. Yeah. Like, but there's so much stuff where you can make an argument for,
Yeah. I mean, I think if I had to pick, I'm going Austria 5-way battle, just because you don't see that.
Man, I would disagree between those two, because I think the lead of the race means more. Mm-hmm. And the battle between Charles and Max to open the season was just freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And if I don't care who you are as an F1 fan watching that, you were standing up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, it was one of those things where when Max came out from the pits close behind, you were like, all right, like this is about to get interesting. And as soon as he came around, you knew he was gonna go for it. And then it just happened time and time again. Each lap it kept happening. And until Leclerc was able to break that DRS zone. And just to start the season like that,
Yeah.
man, it just hit
That was a
different.
hell of a start. Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely. All
all
right.
right, next one.
Best race as a whole.
I have Saudi Arabia. I think that track, I mean, it's insanely fast, which always makes it for an interesting track, especially being a road course. But I mean, man, when you have a, I forget how many lead changes they had, but it was back and forth between the pit stops between Checo, then Charles took it over, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then you had all kind of action throughout the race. You had Fernando and Ocon going at it. Once Checo got unlucky with the safety car, I don't think he'd have won the race no matter what. But he definitely got unlucky with the way the safety car hit.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had him and Carlos's battle throughout the whole race. You had just battles all over the place, man. And then at the end of the race, you have the win is decided by half a second.
Yep.
And that once Max got by Leclerc after the whole DRS battle, which was awesome and hilarious to see.
Yeah.
just how aware these drivers are of everything,
Mm-hmm.
It was we kind of got robbed of even more fireworks because once Max got past Charles had him 100% lined up to make another pass on the going into the last lap. Coming out of the last turn on the penultimate lap, crossing the line on the turning into the last lap. And as they were approaching that final turn, a yellow flag went up and there was no DRS and there was no passing on the straight. So, but Charles was, I want to say, 0.6 of a second behind coming out of that turn.
Yep.
Which we all know how DRS works, and especially there. That was close. He had almost got him a couple of times previous to that.
And that particular lap, he was starting off closer.
He was 0.3 closer than he had been previously. He'd have got it would have been a done deal. He'd have drove past him.
Yeah.
But we didn't get it. So we could have even had, because the way Max closed down Charles on that back straight going into the final turn was like something out of a game. So it could have been even more incredible.
Yeah.
We could have got a last corner pass or fight for the win.
It looked like we were going to.
I thought we were going to, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, no doubt that was an awesome one. I am going with Silverstone. And I say that not, I almost feel bad for calling that the best race because Joe had such a horrific crash and the start of that race went so terribly. But being that he was okay. It was nonetheless, it was excitement at the beginning, and excitement doesn't necessarily have to mean like happy excitement. Excitement's excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on, that whole race, dude, there was battles going on back and forth the whole time. Between Leclerc and Hamilton's battles, and then Leclerc and Sainz going at it.
Dude, right? That was
you had Sainz got to slip in for a safety car pit. Leclerc stays out. Should have, but doesn't get
fault.
to.
He should have just went in.
Right? Yeah. And so you had all of that. Then you had that four-way battle. You had Leclerc and Perez going at it. Leclerc gets pushed wide at the Vale chicane, and Hamilton gets by both of them. And then Leclerc clawing his way back. I mean, the whole race was absolutely incredible. And there was
and that was a really cool pass too when Hamilton slid by both of them. But there wasn't anything spectacular about it because Sergio ran Charles off the road.
Yeah, I mean he cut the freaking chicane, pushed wide he cut the inside of it, and then still managed to push off track on the outside, pushing Leclerc with him
because he just straight lined it.
Yeah, that was, dude. Yeah, that was an aggravating moment there, but nonetheless, it then led to what you listed as your most impressive or best overtake was Leclerc's outside on Hamilton through Cops. I mean, that whole race was incredible.
Mm-hmm. So we just went final in the national championship. Georgia 65, TCU 7.
Oh, shit.
Get out of here with that Big 12 and all your nonsense. Jesus. What a terrible national championship game.
Right? Wow. Yeah, I think.
And TCU scored that touchdown early in the first quarter.
I think the Big 12 just got a taste of that SEC life.
Bro. That is brutal.
Dude, that hurts.
And I hate to say I told you so, but I didn't tell you specifically, but I've been telling everybody that I've been talking about with it that was going to happen. Yeah, I think it was honestly, I didn't even think it was going to be that bad.
Man.
But anyway, that's hard to watch, hard to see.
I hope nobody went on Caesars and threw down big on TCU for an upset.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. All right. Most impressive drive from and that's a driver perspective.
Yep.
What you got?
I went Verstappen in Hungary.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and I mean it wasn't because he came from, I believe it was 10th, or no, was that?
I don't even remember. He had so many of them this year. That was from back.
I know. Right now
I think he had a 14th. He had a 10th. He had a 7th.
17th too.
Yeah.
Hell, that's the one I picked, and now I'm trying to remember the damn details of it. But I mean, he drove a freaking incredible race, and that's the one where he did that nice little pirouette, and and just kept on getting it. Leclerc was right behind him. I say right
Mhm.
behind him, was behind him when that happened, but just wasn't able to really. He capitalized on it when it happened, but
He
wasn't
started in
able.
10th.
Okay, it was 10th, yeah, but he wasn't able to capitalize enough to pull any kind of gap. Verstappen got that one back, but that was aside from that little pirouette, dude. That was a pretty flawless, incredible drive from Max.
Mhm.
What about you?
So
What's your pick?
I have George Russell at Brazil.
Ooh, okay.
I thought that, aside from it being his maiden win, which it shouldn't have been, it should have been a second win,
Yeah.
circa 2020. Um,
Wrong tires.
right.
Botas luck. Intentional.
They couldn't have him upset Botas like that. Um, man, I thought the poise that he drove with in that situation, because I think he knew from early on, I mean, he had the pole. He Okay, well, he didn't have the real pole, but he was first on the starting grid after the sprint. Um, he had some help, but nonetheless, he just drove with incredible poise in a situation where it would have been very easy to make a mistake
Mm-hmm.
with, it's like one of those deals, like it's your first win, and it's okay. I know if I keep it together, I will win this race.
Yep.
So the object is don't make a mistake. And that's
Yeah.
when you see so many people make mistakes.
Yep.
And
When
I
you
feel like
know not
I
to make a
feel like
mistake.
that, but the thing is, the impressive part about it to me was I feel like that was pretty evident early on.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as, because very early on in the race, you had Norris punt Leclerc off.
Yep.
You had visor tear off get stuck in Carlos's brake duct that forced him in a super early pit stop. Then you had Max and Lewis get into it. So essentially, all you had to do was keep it together.
Yep.
But that was for that, all that stuff happened very early on in the race. So that almost makes it more difficult than when you're like, you got somebody just of equal pace to you just breathing down your neck because you're
Mm-hmm.
just so locked in and so focused on that. It almost seems like you see less mistakes in those situations than you do when it's like, all right, bro, you got this in the bag, just keep it together.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh yeah.
it wasn't a like you're dominating the race, keep it together. It was a if you make a mistake, it will cost you your win.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very well done, exceptionally well done for his first victory.
Yeah, I agree. No argument there.
Much like Leclerc in 19 with Hamilton in Spa running him down, breathing down his neck, and then the following week at Monza,
yeah.
just keeping literally in his exhaust the whole race.
Yep.
Very impressive
Mm-hmm.
for Russell.
All right, so on to the next best quali performance. Now, I don't know if you went just like singular lap or qualifying performance as a whole weekend, but I just went. I mean, more so singular lap. It was a great weekend all around for him until it came time for the race. But I'm going Carlos Sainz at Coda. That qualifying lap he put together was incredible.
Bro, you're not lying.
And
That is a good one.
Yeah, he put what was it? It was a 10th and a half, I think, on Max and Charles's times on that one.
Let's see. I got it right here.
I know it was at least a 10th.
I mean, he was at 10th, roughly a 10th, like 0.09.
Oh, was it? I thought it was
ahead of Max.
It was actually a hair.
It was even
over.
less than that ahead of Charles. Because Charles had the engine penalty.
Right.
But
yeah,
it was actually a Ferrari 1-2 in quali.
Yeah, it was. I thought he had a little bit more than a 10th, but okay.
Nonetheless, it was. I mean,
it was a banger of a lap.
Fantastic freaking lap.
Yeah,
because I mean, watching it, we both thought it was between Charles and Max, and he just, the whole time we kept on saying it that he was the best looking car through those whole S's.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that Max and Charles and Lewis all sent it way harder into it.
Right.
Yep. He just seemed way more locked through it.
Mm-hmm. They don't call him the smooth operator for nothing.
Bro, look, he earned his name in person.
Yeah.
That was impressive, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I'm looking forward
to seeing that one again.
That is a very good one. Yeah, I like that one. So I'm gonna list two here because I feel like we can't have this category and not give a shout out to K-Mag in Brazil.
And I almost put that just because I felt like it was deserved to get that shout out.
But
so I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel bad without calling that one because I mean, what a freaking lap! And that the cool thing about it was legit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had one lap in the same conditions. And, it's not like he went out minutes ahead of everybody.
Right.
And all of a sudden it started raining more on his lap, on their lap. They were all stacked up. He was a few seconds ahead of everybody, ahead of the field. The way that they ran that one. And he put it together and he sent it and he beat them all.
Yep.
So my best qualifying performance is Charles Leclerc, which kind of makes sense because he had more poles than anybody, even Max, at Monaco.
Ooh.
First of all, he was a quarter of a second faster than second place. He was almost 0.3 faster than Max.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, before Checo did whatever he did, he was about to obliterate that time.
Yes, he was.
Now, Max was on a cracker too, but Charles' lap was smoking that lap.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly. Maybe not smoking, but in Monaco terms. or in qualifying terms. You know, Charles was about to obliterate his previous lap.
Yep.
But either way, bro, you take pole in Monaco by a quarter of a second. I mean, that I could watch onboard qualifying laps at Monaco all day.
Oh,
especially like look, I love watching a lot of the older ones with the manual shifting and all.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, to me, these giant ass cars around Monaco is on a qualifying laps is something special with these guys.
You want to feel an adrenaline rush just from watching something on TV. Yeah, go watch the freaking onboards at Monaco. Absolutely. All right. On to the next. Next, we have got the most spectacular crash. Why don't you go ahead and take that one?
All right. I got Alonso at Coda.
Taking flight.
And sticking the landing. And finishing back in the points.
Yeah. Short.
Only to be taken out of the points and then put back in the points.
Dude, that whole thing was just wild. I mean,
yeah.
Not only, but all right, so getting a little technical here. Can we really even call that a crash, though?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was contact, but I mean,
because Stroll was not able to finish. Stroll was done.
Yeah. So the
back of his car folded, didn't
it? He spun and
then he hit
clipped
the wall or something.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was absolutely insane to watch. Could you imagine seeing that in person? Like, it happened right freaking behind us.
I know.
Could you imagine having seen that?
No, that would have been insane.
Man, yeah, that's wild. So, I've got.
You go. I'm gonna. I'll be right back.
All right. I've got what is probably the obvious pick, and that would be Guan Yu Zhou in Silverstone. After the wild start that Silverstone was, sliding, rolling, roll bar, breaking away, sliding across the gravel traps at that speed on his head, hitting the tire wall, bouncing up over it. I mean, absolutely crazy chain of events. And the fact that he was unscathed, that was a crash that we just don't see in this day of F1. I mean, that's the type of stuff you see like back in the olden days, it seems like. And they generally don't walk away from that. But, luckily there was enough safety equipment around him that didn't break away to where he walked away from that one. But as far as spectacular goes, I think that one takes the cake.
No doubt. That was insane.
Yeah.
Especially once some of those pictures started coming out of him, like from the side,
Mm-hmm.
where you actually saw how he was wedged in there.
Yep.
That was just unreal, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. All right. Next up on the list, the best comeback drive. I went with, and I've got two written here, so I guess I need to make a snap decision on which one I'm going to go with. And I think I'm going to go with Carlos at Monza.
That was an impressive one.
Yes. That one was let's see. That one, because he took the engine penalty, and I don't think he started dead last. I think he was like 17th, if I remember right. Finished P5.
Yeah, Monza was a disaster of engine penalties and all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Carlos finished P4,
Was it 4?
I believe. Yeah, because they had the safety car at the end. If they wouldn't have, I think he'd have got Russell for the podium. He'd have wound up on a podium.
Probably would have.
He was closing them down like a
Yeah.
second and a half or more a lap.
Yep.
Like it was one of those things. Like it was inevitable. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the safety car came out and saved his ass.
Yep. So that's mine on the comeback drive. What's yours?
I have Alonso at Brazil.
Okay.
So that's when him and his quote unquote friend there got into the tussle during the sprint race again.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from starting P17 to finishing in P5 ahead of both the Red Bulls. Grant Max had damage and had his little altercation.
Yep.
And his teammate who finished in front of him. And who started in front of him. I'm sorry. Finished 9 seconds ahead of his teammate.
Yeah. That
who
was
started in front of him.
That was a good one. That was. It was indeed.
So, yeah, that's my best comeback drive.
All right. Biggest surprise, the 2-for one. Biggest surprise and disappointment. What you got?
All right. My biggest surprise is Mercedes. I was genuinely shocked when they were that much off the pace to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they did a fantastic job of working through it and developing through it and, just growing throughout the season and being able to end in a positive place.
Mm-hmm.
But, even in Brazil, man, had all that stuff not happened with the other teams, I don't think they could have won that race on merit. I really don't. And that's just shocking to me that it took all of that for Mercedes to finally win one. And it's just after what we've essentially been programmed into in the last 8 years, that was shocking to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I would agree there. I would agree.
my biggest disappointment, I would say, and we didn't specify whether this had to be drive. This could have been anything, team, driver,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, my biggest disappointment was AlphaTauri.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really thought they were going to be solid this year. I didn't think they were going to be a front running team by any means, but I felt like they could be hanging with kind of where Alpine and McLaren were
Right.
this year
Right. Yeah.
on a regular basis, especially with the driver lineup they got.
Right.
Pierre's a stud, and I think Yuki really kind of came into his own this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could go with that. I had better expectations for him. I did. So as far as biggest surprise, I'm going with Bottas. And more so Bottas and Alfa Romeo. Not necessarily picking Alfa as a team as a whole, but the Bottas Alpha combo. Um, did not expect the performances out of them that Bottas gave us. I mean, hell, he finished 10th in the Drivers' Championship compared to his teammate in 18th. I think he did an absolute fantastic job. I really think Bottas, I think we saw a different Valtteri.
Yeah.
We saw somebody that felt like he was the leader, because he was,
Right.
and he was really able to kind of spread his wings a little bit and showcase what he's capable of without being overshadowed or told otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just didn't expect that at all out of him and the team. So, I mean, he took the car, I think, further than where any of us expected it to be. And the team, supported him and got him there, right? I mean, they could have made dumb calls that sacked his races. But they did a good job as well keeping him where he was.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as biggest disappointment, Danny Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Danny freaking Rick.
Can't disagree with that one.
Yeah. That hurts, man. That hurts.
I know.
But, it's true. I mean, it is what it is. He couldn't really pass the muster.
He just never got dialed in, man, with that McLaren,
Yeah.
whatever it was about it.
Yep.
It just it's he just couldn't come to grips with it, man. And I think that's something that you see with drivers when they're in one place for a long time, where they become very set in their ways and in their styles and kind of lose that ability to adapt.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like on your come up in your career, you're constantly changing, you're constantly hitting new formulas, you're constantly doing new things and new cars every year, and it's just part of what you do. And then all of a sudden, you're in this situation where the car is almost being designed to what you like, not hey, you're not going to be here next year, so we're just making the car and you're going to figure it out.
Right.
So you get more and more comfortable and you go faster and faster. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, I'm not going to be here next year.
Mm-hmm.
And this team I'm going to, they have a complete opposite concept to what I'm used to.
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it becomes you lose that edge
to adapt
and that confidence in something new.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way you adapt quickly is you gain confidence,
mm-hmm.
and you just lose that. It's because you're so programmed into this other way.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you saw happen with Lewis at the beginning of this year. I don't buy all that nonsense about the setups and this and that. I think he genuinely, it showed, man. Like, I think he genuinely struggled early on in this car, and it took him a lot longer to get the hang of it. George Russell's been driving a shitbox car for the last 3 years at Williams. This Mercedes probably felt like a dream to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, every aspect is a different skill set, and being able to adapt quickly is a skill set on its own. And when you go so many years without having to, yeah, I mean, it's only natural that skill set diminishes a little bit.
Right, and it's not like a knock on your driving ability. It's just something that you didn't have to do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Same thing like we talk about with Lewis with the overtaking and the wheel-to-wheel racing. It's not a slide of Lewis at all. It's not his fault that him plus the machine that he was driving was better than everybody, and he didn't have to do a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing and overtaking.
Right.
Like, it's just something that, I mean, dude, like, from 16 on, or after 16, there wasn't a ton of it to go around.
Nope.
Nope. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that if you don't use it, you lose it, man.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. It's not really their fault. It's just kind of like you're a product of the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Danny was great at Red Bull, dude.
Yep.
I still think, like, I think about what could have been had Danny Rick stuck it out with Red Bull and you had him in that 22 car. Or even more, last year, 21.
Mm-hmm.
Because Checo was great in moments last year in 21, but he wasn't on the pace.
No.
So Danny Rick was what and what with Max when he was there. So I mean, who knows what would have happened that year?
Mm-hmm. Ain't no telling. But yeah,
I mean, this year would have been. Whew, you want to talk about a runaway for Red Bull?
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we know that car suits his style very well, and you put them two in this car they had, yeah, no doubt about that one.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost running through here. Best strategy play. Where you at?
I've got Alex Albon, Australia.
Yep.
57 laps on one set of tires with these shitbag Pirellis.
Yep. I concur.
Unbelievable.
No contest.
So the strategy was brilliant, but I think the drive was even his ability to make them last that long was even more impressive.
Yeah, that might have should have put that under most impressive drive category.
I was
Albon.
thinking about it, but I mean that was a strategy. That was a ballsy strategy call.
It was
just to allow him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if he would have took it to 40 laps, we'd have been like, holy smokes.
Right.
But I mean,
to take it,
the
50,
balls on the
50,
strategist
57
to go to the penultimate lap is just like, I mean, from what we've seen with these tires time and time again, like when they fall off a cliff, they fall off a cliff and they blow up.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was nuts.
And because I can't just pull one, I'm just going to say Red Bull and Hannah Schmitz all year.
Just all together as a whole.
Here you go.
Yep.
Here's the trophy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that one goes without saying. But to narrow it down to just one time, one instance, Albon, Williams, Australia, 100%. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
That was the same choice I had.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there really is any other choice for a singular instance.
No, I mean, look, Red Bull just nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Every race all year. I can't think of a time when we were like, dude, what the hell is Red Bull doing there? They were just on it.
Yeah.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Always making the right call in the right moment, in the pressure.
Yep. Like you said, Red Bull and Hannah Schmitz. There you go. So, all right. So the final category, best opening lap.
Why don't you take it? Why don't you go ahead with this one?
So, to be honest with you, I actually don't have anything written down here because as I was running through all this stuff, for whatever reason, I got caught up and didn't finish that last one. So I'll let you snag this one, and because I didn't write anything, and just off the top of my head, trying to remember the opening lap of 23 races and pick one, it's not going to happen.
So I have Max and Monza. I mean, he went from. Hold on a second. Starting grid. P7. I thought so. I was just making sure. P7 to P3 on lap 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there set himself up to win that race. I mean,
yeah. I mean, well, look, let's be honest here. Lap 1 Monza is always going to be good.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's always going
just
to
be making
be...
it through that first chicane when you're not the first one through it.
Yeah.
Is tricky.
And it seems it seems like generally speaking, there's always like one standout person on the opening lap at Monza, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody makes a decision to just stick the car here or play it safe, and one way or another, it works to their advantage and they pick up 5-6 spots or something crazy right there.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of works. I mean, if you're going just, I was kind of thinking of that one more as like not driver centric, just like the race, lap 1 compared across the board, which one was the best. But I mean, if you're talking like singular drivers opening a lap, I don't remember how many he gained on the first lap, but Max at Spa, starting from, I don't remember if he was dead in the back or not, but I do know he rocketed through that field with a quickness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember specifically, though, how much of that was done on lap 1. But I know his journey through it was very, very fast.
And which one?
Spa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would
But
imagine his lap 1 there was pretty impressive in the positions gained category, but I don't remember exactly.
yeah, I mean, look, dude, like Max, the way he just dropped everybody on that first lap and got up to in the podium positions on that first lap just set him up to be able to win that race. Because if not, Charles was legitimately the Ferraris, despite we thought they might really struggle there, they were actually quick.
Yeah.
They were very quick for the duration of Monza.
Mm-hmm.
And had he struggled in the least bit to get by and maybe got stuck behind any one of those people for a few laps, that could have allowed Charles the ability to stretch a lead that he couldn't close back down.
Right.
But the way he just dropped everybody and never really let he never let anybody hold him up at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to just not let Charles get away.
Yep.
And I mean, it was just so impressive, man.
It was.
I mean, pretty much everything Max did this year was just impressive, but that to me just really stood out as like almost even more so than Spa.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I would agree.
Because man, like Monza, dude, like it's just so famous, man. You see these DRS trains develop, and you just can't break them. People can't break them.
Yeah.
And Max was poised to get caught up in that.
He was looking like he was going to get stuck in one or two.
But the thing that just impresses me so much about Max is he doesn't get caught in them.
Nope.
Like he just doesn't. He blasts his way past people, and whether that's maybe he's got bigger balls than most people, and if he feels himself not really closing it down, he's just like, screw it. I trust my machinery underneath me. I'm going to break later and not allow this to deter what I'm trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, man, I mean, it's working for him.
Yeah.
Whatever he does, because bro, like DRS trains are not a thing for Max Verstappen.
They are not. They do not hamper his progress. That's for damn sure.
So, yeah, I mean that was my best opening lap. I think it was, one of the most significant at the time or of the season, really, because that, coming off of the Spa race that they had, obviously he won his home race as well, but that just kind of like solidified everything.
Mm-hmm.
When he pulled that one off, I mean, it was as good as done.
Yeah. No doubt.
So,
All right. Well,
That's all I got.
That wraps them up. That is the best of 2022 in our eyes. If you disagree, let us know. Or if you do, let us know. Or I said, if you don't, let us know. But no, I mean,
And also, I know there's a ton of good stuff that happens at the back of the field, but you know what? It's just not as important.
truth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff happening mid pack, back of the pack, and look, there's a ton of it that we don't even know happened because it doesn't get shown. You know,
Right?
like I mean, we can't use it in any of this or talk about it much if we don't even know it happened because they didn't show it. So, but yeah, that's all we got. So, looks like the next episode we're gonna do is we will do the second Wednesday of February, so a month from now, and we will be doing that one as we encroach on livery releases and starting to get geared up for the new season. So that will be, let's see, hang on, stand by. I will give you a date here. February 8th will be the next one.
I'll tell you what I would like to see in terms of liveries and all. I would like to see Ferrari go back to. I think their car looked phenomenal. It was the best looking car on the grid this year, in my opinion. The design of the car, everything, it was just so freaking slick and smooth. They need to go back to like the '04 color.
Like that bright red.
Just that bright freaking blind you red. Because it works on this style car.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the car is so sleek and smooth looking. You put that paint scheme on it, it's over.
I want to see McLaren in the red and white.
Oh, dude, that would be so sick.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
No,
but
mine could happen.
That's what I want to see.
Red Bull, don't change anything. In person, y'all have the most gorgeous car I've ever seen.
Oh my god, man! TV completely dulls out that livery.
It does.
In person, the colors are fantastic. That thing is beautiful.
Bro, when that thing came out of the pit lane in person, I freaking grabbed you. I was like, holy shit, look at this thing.
Yep.
It is unreal,
man.
The TV does not do it justice.
Yeah. And I mean, that was the same for it was the same for most of them. But
I don't think so. Not to the same effect, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some more than others.
No, like nothing to the effect of the Red Bull.
Yeah. Well, like, dude, the Aston.
The Aston looked really good, man. But Jesus Christ, that Red Bull just looked.
It did.
In person in that sunshine. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. There's no denying that one.
The Mercedes is a sharp looking car, man, but I find it's kind of dull in person. Not even, maybe dull is the wrong word. It just doesn't it doesn't jump out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think standing still, it's one of the best looking cars. That silver and black is just gorgeous.
It really is.
Especially with the aqua of the Patronus.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But like next to some of those other cars, man, in motion in the sun when it hits them, I mean, it was just different. Dude, that Red Bull is just oh man.
Yep. Different level.
It got my heart rate up when we saw it come out of that pit lane.
Oh, dude, yeah. Instantly. Yep. So, all right. Is it quote time?
Mm-hmm.
Quote time. So, yeah, I think y'all like this one. So earlier, I'm gonna kind of preface this one. Earlier, when we were talking about Andretti Cadillac F1 views of Americans in general by a lot of the rest of the F1 world and the NASCAR esque, being a we'll just call it they view it as a derogatory thing, right?
If
We're
you
gonna
don't chew Big
go,
Red, then fuck you.
yeah, right. We're gonna go true American that the rest of them can't stand, and we're gonna pull a quote from none other, not even a racer, than Mr. Jeff Foxworthy. And we're gonna go. If you think the last 4 words of the national anthem are "Gentlemen, start your engines," you might be a redneck. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Look out, Europe.
Yeah.
America's coming. That's hilarious.
Could have pulled out a Ricky Bobby one. That would have been good. That was a nice touch you had there.
Just a big, hairy American winning machine.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence. Oh, man. We could sit
I
here
love
for
that
another hour.
Foxworthy one.
Yeah. Thought you'd like that one.
That was a good one.
All right. With that being said, thank y'all for joining us. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. February 8th, right? Did I get that right? The 8th? Yes. That will be the next one. That will be the looking forward into 23. So this was fun. I think this was a good way to do the final wrap on 22.
Put a cap on 22.
Yep. So 22 is a wrap. This episode's a wrap. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Later.